Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom. It's December 2023 and I'm back at the Deadest Mall in Connecticut, Enfield Square Mall in Enfield, Connecticut. The last time I was here was in July of 2023, about 5 months ago. I'm not going to rehash everything I went over in that video, but just to bring everybody up to date, I'll do a quick recap. In my opinion, this mall hasn't been doing very well for at least the last 10 to maybe even 15 years or so. But I think 2016 into 2017 was when this mall truly became a dead mall in my eyes. In 2016, both Macy's locations closed, JP Morgan foreclosed on the mall, Ruby Tuesdays, which is to the right there, closed. And then in late 2016, Sears announced that it would be closing in February of 2017. Many other stores in the mall also closed during this time. By the end of 2017, the only remaining anchor store was really Target and arguably Party City and the movie theater. In late 2018, the mall was sold to Namdar Realty Group. At first, a lot of people were hoping that Namdar would turn the mall around, but as you can see, they didn't really do that. And from what I've read, Namdar has a reputation of buying up dying malls, generally not maintaining them very well, and then just letting them fail, which is what seems to be happening here. And while we're here, let's take a quick look inside the old Sears. And it's pretty much unchanged since the last time I was here. I did read an article that they did an inspection of the Sears not too long ago, and it seems to be holding up fairly well. There's no major leaks that anybody found as far as I know. This video was filmed on Friday, December 1st at about noontime or so, and that was about 1 week before the Cinemark closed. I did do a video on the closure of the Cinemark, so if you want to check that out, I do have a link to it in the description below. And don't forget, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell. I got a lot more mall videos coming up. Thanks. Since the last time I was here in July, I would say the number of stores inside the mall has probably stayed roughly the same. There might be a few additional ones that have closed. It's kind of hard to tell just because there's so many of them. But the ones that do remain for the most part are local type stores, not national chains or anything like that, with a couple exceptions. But most of these are local businesses that have moved in here. I've mentioned this before, but coming up on the left here is the New Life Church, which I always find unusual to see a church inside a shopping mall. They've also got on the right here this annex thing you'll see. That's actually part of that church. So I haven't seen too many malls that have churches in them. I have heard that they are out there, but they're definitely not common. And then you see to the left there, this storefront that's all boarded up. That actually happened back in July of 2023. And if you watch my last video on the mall, they had just started that when I was doing filming here. And that was all due to the most recent drama at the mall, which I'll get into in just a minute here. And of course, Bath & Body Works is still here. I've said it in my videos before, but Bath & Body Works is going to be here till the bitter end. They're not going anywhere, I don't think. Or basically, if Bath & Body Works closes, then that's pretty much the sign that this mall is closing. And this also happened to be the first day that Santa was at the mall. And I'm honestly shocked that they still have Santa here because there is so little foot traffic in this mall that I can only imagine that Santa's getting very few kids every day. I mean, it's got to be under 10, right? I can't imagine it being more than that. On the right here is State Line Video Games, which is a pretty good video game store I've been to before. They were closed today at this time. I don't know why they weren't open, but they are still in business. And then coming up ahead is Target, which is, I would say, why probably 95% of the people come to this mall currently. At least 90%. It's got to be. Any cars you see in the parking lot are almost certainly here for Target. And interestingly, the property that Target is on here is actually not owned by Namdar. Namdar sold this property to Target back in 2021. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up tearing down this mall and then just leaving the Target there and possibly building like a strip mall attached to their Target, possibly. That's just a guess, but I could easily see that happening. On the right here is one of the rare new businesses in the mall. This is D Gym, and I think when I was here in July, this was either just opening or just about to open. Here's more of those boarded up storefronts. I think when I was here in July, they hadn't installed the door on that one yet, and I think this one was still wide open if I remember correctly. This is kind of interesting. This store is full of Christmas trees, and this is for some sort of event. I'm not really sure what it is, though. If you remember my videos on the Eastfield Mall in Springfield, Mass., they had a place there called New Age Wrestling, which I had heard was moving to the Enfield Square Mall. I thought they were going in here, but there's a sign out front that says this is some sort of martial arts place, so this does not appear to be New Age Wrestling. So if anybody knows what happened to New Age Wrestling and if they are still going to move in here, let me know in the comments. I didn't see anything about it online. As I mentioned earlier, since Namdar bought the property, there hasn't really been much maintenance done here. And one of the first signs of that lack of maintenance being done on this mall occurred back in July of 22 or so, when the town found that part of the roof in the old Macy's women's store, which is the Macy's all the way at the end of this hallway here, had actually collapsed and had caused extensive water damage. The town tried to get Namdar to fix it, but Namdar allegedly never responded, so the town had to go ahead and do the repairs themselves. As a result, the town put a $44,000 lien on the property to pay for the work they did to repair it, but it's unclear to me if Namdar ever paid that lien. This is a new store, The Money Pit. It looks like it's mainly a sneaker store, and it'll be interesting to see how that does. Now, once the repairs were done to the roof of the Macy's women's store back in 2022, I kind of figured that the mall's maintenance problems were probably under control, but I was very wrong about that. In May of this year, the town was doing an inspection of both of the old Macy's buildings, and they found another huge hole in the ceiling, this time in the Macy's men's store, which is the one in the middle, right behind Santa. And apparently there had been a water leak in the ceiling for many years, and this caused the roof to collapse, which resulted in damage to the fire suppression system, the fire alarms, and the electrical system. And this really put the entire mall in jeopardy of potentially burning down if the fire suppression system didn't work. So of course the town put Namdar on notice of this in late May of 2023 and gave them 30 days to do the repairs. The estimated cost of the repairs was reported to be somewhere around $200,000. And according to the town, they got little to no response from Namdar to the request to repair the property. So on July 14th of this year, the chief building official for the town, Raymond Stedward, delivered a letter to all the tenants of the mall informing them that they were going to close the entire mall unless Namdar did the repairs. This apparently got Namdar's attention, and as of the filming of my July video, the repairs to the fire suppression systems and fire alarms were underway, and the mall would remain open for the time being. They also erected the large firewall in front of the Macy's men's store and the smaller firewalls in front of the other vacant storefronts. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think this vending machine is working. It doesn't seem to be refrigerated, and I believe the expiration dates on those sodas were April of 23, as far as I could tell. So I would guess those sodas probably have not been replaced in a very, very long time. Not surprisingly, according to various articles I've read, after everything that's gone down between the town and Namdar over the last year and a half, the town is apparently no longer interested in dealing with Namdar, and they've been urging Namdar to sell the property ever since. In July of this year, the town, Namdar, and a potential buyer had a meeting scheduled to discuss the sale of the mall, but Namdar allegedly canceled the meeting 1 minute before it was scheduled to start. And from what I've read, the town did have a meeting with a potential buyer in October of this year, and then a second potential buyer came forward in November. The names of these potential buyers, though, is currently being kept secret, so I have no idea who it's going to be. If anybody out there knows, let me know in the comments. But the last article I found regarding this was from November as well, and mentioned that the new town manager, Christopher Bromson, had an upcoming meeting scheduled with this second potential buyer. As of the time this video was uploaded, there haven't been any further updates on who may be looking to buy the mall, or how close they actually are to a sale at this point. So it looks like we'll just have to sit back and wait and see what happens. I have read some articles, though, that did kind of hint that if anything happens to the mall, it's probably not going to start before probably the spring or summer of 2024. But even that's totally up in the air. If you watched my July video, you probably remembered that this Christmas wreath was up in July, and they had never taken it down since December of 2022. So, with that kind of lack of care about the mall decorations, I'm really surprised that they actually added additional decorations for Christmas this year. I figured they would just leave the wreath up and call it a day. It's also kind of odd to think that behind Santa and behind that firewall there is this. It's not very Christmassy when you think about it. So as always, let me know what you think about this mall. I would say there's no doubt it's a dead mall. And in my opinion, like I said earlier, it's, I think, the deadest mall in Connecticut. The only ones that come close, I think, are probably the Crystal Mall. Brass Mill Center's not looking too good. Meriden Mall actually, I think, looks good compared to this. This is much deader than Meriden Mall, in my opinion. But again, let me know what you think about that in the comments. I assume that used to be an Auntie Annie's, or maybe a Wetzel's Pretzels, but definitely some sort of pretzel stand. Here's one of those other gaming stores I was talking about. And even though there are still stores here, not a lot, but there are still stores, most of them seem to be pretty empty. There's not a lot of shoppers in here. And there's another look at the now closed Cinemark. And if you want to take a closer look at the Cinemark, check out my recent video on it. I was there on closing day, December 7th. I went to see a movie, did a walk around of most of the theater that I could get to. And personally, I think it was a pretty good video. So check that out. The link is in the description. I'd say this is another sign of a dead mall when the computer running the kiosk has crashed. So as you can see from the sign, this was security services. This has been closed for years, as far as I can remember. It does say now hiring in-house security personnel, but I'm not sure if that is correct or not. I actually did see security for the first time in a very long time when I was here on December 7th on closing day for Cinemark, and there was some guy walking around in a yellow jacket, which I've never seen anybody walking around here in a yellow security jacket before. In fact, the last time I remember seeing security was probably pre-2020. It was sometime in the 20-teens. Let's take another look inside the old Ruby Tuesdays. And if you want a better look inside here, check out my July video where I actually was able to get inside here because they had turned this into a fireworks store for the 4th of July. Alright, so there's the inside of the mall, but as always, don't go anywhere yet. I'm going to do a quick drive around the mall, and we'll see if anything's changed on the outside. Here's the old Sears building, and it's looking as moldy as ever. I can't imagine them doing anything to this building anytime soon other than tearing it down. It's literally starting to fall apart. To the left of the entrance where it says Mosaic, that used to be Panera Bread, and to the right, that used to be Ruby Tuesdays. Here, of course, is Target. Like I said, really the main reason that 90% of the people come to this mall, I would say. If you see that yellow building there, that used to be the Outback Steakhouse restaurant, which I used to go to a lot. I really liked that restaurant. That's been closed, I think, for at least a year or so. But they actually are building new restaurants in here. There's a Popeyes now that's right next to the old Outback Steakhouse. And then they're doing a Raising Cane's Chicken store is opening fairly soon, I guess. And if anybody wants me to do like restaurant reviews or like drive-in food reviews or anything like that, let me know. I've never done a video like that before, but I don't know, it's something I could do, I guess. Here's the Macy's women's store. This is the one that had the ceiling collapse in July of 2022. And also when I was here back in July of 23, there was significantly more graffiti on the building. The whole place got tagged up at that point, somewhere between winter of 22 and July of 23. They have cleaned up a lot of the graffiti, even though there is more new graffiti since then. And also you remember these walls here were damaged. Vandals had torn some of the capstones off. Those have all been put back on, so that's good. They are trying to get that fixed up. And that area there is not looking too bad. If you remember some of my older videos, it looked like a jungle at one point. That graffiti there is new. That was not there in July. And I guess if you're going to do graffiti, I guess that's better than just tagging. There's some sort of artistic merit to that, even though it still looks pretty bad in my opinion. And these entrances were also all tagged up back in July, and they have cleaned up most of it looks like. Right here where you see these three blacked out windows, that used to be Radio Shack. Up until, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And there's Party City. Party City is still open, obviously, but every time I've been in there, it's almost completely empty, unless it's Halloween. This is the Macy's men's store. This is the one that had the major roof collapse back in May of this year. And you see those Christmas trees in the window there? Those have been there for multiple years at this point. They just haven't been taken down. I think they've been there since at least 2021. And then if you look very closely here, you can see where it used to say Filene's. Because this was a Filene's up until I think 2006 when it became Macy's. This is the Cinemark building. These gouges in the building were here when I was here in July. I'm not really sure what caused that. There used to be a piece of plywood up here, right there, and it looks like they have done a repair, which is surprising. This is the back side of Sears. This was the lawn and garden and sporting goods section, and I remember you would pick up your items there in that door to the right. There's the loading bays, and they're all falling apart. Looks pretty much the same as it did last time in July. When I did a walk around of this mall back in June of this year, I think it was, I saw against this wall here there was a little concrete ramp, and I didn't know what it was. People in the comments though told me it was actually kids had made the ramp to jump their skateboards, and it just blows my mind that they were able to come out here, lay down concrete, which must have taken at least days to cure, I would think, and they didn't get caught. That just shows you how few security guards there are around here. And then here's the old Sears Auto Center. It looks pretty much the same as it did last time, except if you look in the garage door windows, there's a lot more names written, I think. So it seems like there are still a lot of kids getting in here and exploring. And there you have it. That's my December 2023 update to the Enfield Square Mall. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell. I've got a ton more mall videos coming up, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.